So we clearly saw all of this, but this is Trump talking about the.
I'm going to be signing a national emergency. And it's been signed many times before. It's been signed by other presidents. From 1977 or so, it gave the presidents the power. There's rarely been a problem. They sign it. Nobody cares. I guess they weren't very exciting. But nobody cares. They sign it for far less important things in some cases, in many cases.
So, what are your guys' thoughts on the state of emergency?
Why is he allowed to speak? There's no illegal immigration in the U.S. is at a 46-year low. There is no emergency. To believe so is to be deluded. There is no emergency of illegal immigration at the border. There is no. It's not an issue. There are more. What he was talking about, and what what enters a lot of people's minds is the caravan, and those were people seeking asylum, which is perfectly legal.
I mean, not all of them. Actually, a lot of them just rushed the border.
Well, because they wanted to go there and seek asylum, and we sent the military there. Instead of more people to help with the whole asylum process,
right.
Some aid, to make sure the kids are okay. Instead, we put them in cages and sent the military there. So, and then we sign a national emergency, which is they're not. The last one I think was for H1N1. That was Obama's national emergency.
Mm-hmm.
Bush
there've
signed
been a
one.
ton of them.
Yeah, there've been.
Though.
I think
and some of them are for really weird stuff,
Mm-hmm.
like national emergency to recognize the government of South Sudan. It's a very weird thing.
Yeah, but the executive branch gets a lot of extra powers every time that you implement one of those. So there's probably something with Sudan that there's some sort of thing that the president at that time probably did that we don't even know about that's kind of fucked up. Because every time you're doing one of these things, it's just to get a little bit more power in the executive branch so you can do stuff. And the whole thing's not even constitutional.
Yeah, it's not even kind. Well, I guess it's in the since 19. It says 76 on this paper, and he said 77, so I'm going to go ahead and say 76.
Yeah, it's 76. I looked it up.
Yeah, well, I know he didn't, so why the fuck would he research anything? But, no, since then, I guess it's been semi-constitutional to... Well,
No, it's not semi-constitutional at all.
To declare a national emergency?
It's completely illegal. It's completely illegal. It should be a null and void law. And I don't know what you should do with the people who pass those sort of laws. Should they all go to jail? But if the power is not specifically talked about within the Constitution, you are not allowed to just pass a law through Congress to give more power to the executive branch for them to be doing. It's against everything the nation even was put upon at its base. But no one gives a shit. No one cares.
Yeah, I never thought about it that way. Well, yeah, fuck national emergencies.
Because what are we going to do when we have to sanction North Sudan, Ryan Grimes?
We don't. We just don't fucking do it.
I remember the one time it made George Bush declared a national emergency after 9/11. And I don't know what that did, but it
it did something.
Yeah, it did something, but it's
it made everyone know.
When he did that, it's everyone was yeah, we know. This is an emergency.
We saw it on the news.
Yeah, that should be the only effect of a national emergency is hey guys, there's an emergency.
The problem is too, even for Republicans, is eventually there's going to be another Democrat president.
Oh, and I hate that.
What are they going to do? Declare national, declare gun violence a national emergency or whatever?
Healthcare.
I can tell you right now, this is what I think, and let me know what you guys think. But this is what I think is going to happen. So the law got passed in 1976 or whatever, and slowly but surely there have been more and more state of emergencies done, and now they've gotten pretty willy-nilly over the last president and this president. They just do it whenever the hell they want to be doing it, even though it's not really a national emergency. The next president who does it is going to do it the same way that Trump just did it, and it's going to get less and less of a national emergency each time they want to do it. It's just going to be slowly taking the power from the Congress to the executive branch, and this is how we fall slowly into totalitarianism.
Yeah, it's just a power grab.
Well, the one thing against it is I'm pretty sure that Congress can pass legislation to stop an executive action, a national emergency.
That goes to the president's desk and gets vetoed, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it needs 2/3 majority to override the veto, which they won't get because of spineless Republicans in Congress. So, and if it goes to the Supreme Court,
you guys think
it'll
it's
go
going to
through
get
the
struck
courts.
down in the Supreme Court?
Yeah, where we've got a strong conservative majority. He gets what he wants, basically, and it's fucked.
No, it's going to go, even if we had a Democrat majority in the Supreme Court, it would get passed because every single one before that's gone to the Supreme Court has gotten passed because of that law that was passed. They're not going by the Constitution, they're going by that law that was passed. So it doesn't matter. I think I have something. This Trump actually explains this pretty decently in this one clip that we have. This might be it.
Allies who say that you are violating the Constitution.
This isn't. This is the one where they're violating the Constitution, which is true.
Coming into our country. That we create precedent, well, important than having a fight before I got here. Sadly, it'll go through a process, and
I can't believe these are sound bites of the fucking president.
Oh, yeah, very true. But this is all stuff. This is what I looked up earlier. This is Chris Ann Hall. She's a constitutional lawyer. She's got an article about all this shit. This is where I've got all my information, all of it, pretty much everything I was just talking about. How the 10th Amendment clearly delegates does not delegate this power to the executive branch, and anything that is in I don't have Parker on the screen, but anything that is not delegated to any particular branch of government, they're not allowed to do, and that power falls to the states. So it is technically legal for states to do a state of emergency if they make a law in order to do that. So that's how they would go around it. She talks about here the question: can the president do this? I'm just skip to the very end. The short answer is no. You can't fucking do this. Like, you're not supposed to.
Well, the argument you could be made is that these laws were passed by Congress. So does Congress have the power to give the executive branch some of its power?
No. That's actually in the Constitution. The Congress does not have the authority to give up their power to another branch of government. Because Alexander Hamilton, there's a quote from him that's coming up that explains this.
Hold on, I'm just going to read the Constitution real quick.
Yeah, just try that out.
We the people.
We the people. There is no position in which, on clearer principles than that, every act of a delegated authority. I hate reading the Constitution because one, I'm not a good reader, and two,
I would have thought you'd have a tattoo of it by now, Ryan Grimes.
No. Anyway, contrary to tenure of the commission under which it is exercised, it's void. So once they try to, like a law like this, when they're trying to push the powers to another branch of government, it's completely it should have been voided by the Supreme Court.
The next sentence says it perfectly. No legislative act, therefore, contrary to the Constitution, can be valid.
Exactly. So
you can't pass a law in the Constitution that's against the Constitution.
Yes, but the Supreme Court, throughout the decades of America being a thing, has become corrupted, and they're not going by what the Constitution is, and they're not protecting the citizens. They're going to pass the boycott thing that Marco Rubio is pushing through. They're going to allow that to happen. I guarantee it. They're going to allow this wall to happen, even though it's not constitutional because they just passed some thing. And no one gives a shit because they're just ready for their guy to get in power so they can just do whatever the fuck they want.
Yeah, everyone's just worried about 2020.
Yeah.
It's basically your job as a congressperson or an elected official is basically just to get elected. Once you're in there, figure out how to get reelected.
Well, the one thing I'd say in defense of national emergencies is we do live in a modern world where things do move a little bit faster than when the Constitution was written, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
And look, you hate to do it, but sometimes you do need one guy with some power to get shit done.
Then make an amendment. Change
But
the
you can't
constitutional
make an
amendment.
amendment.
You can't
It's
make.
not
What do you mean you can't
easy.
make an amendment?
Because
There've
you
only
can't.
been like 4 of them.
That's not true at all.
It's like 300 years.
Wait, constitutional amendments?
Yeah.
I think he means
What? added
on,
Added
Oh.
on, yeah.
which also is still wrong as fuck.
I was about to say no, that's not true. But they yeah, but that Alexander Hamilton quote we just read, you can't put a law in the Constitution that's against what's already in the Constitution.
Right. No. I don't think that's what he was saying. He was saying unless the only amendable parts of the Constitution is when you get enough states together to change an actual amendment. You can't make a law that goes against that sort of stuff
Okay, yeah.
unless it's amended, because that's like a majority. Like I think it's like 2/3 of the states coming together, being like, "Hey, motherfuckers, we're not into slavery anymore," like that kind of thing. But here's the thing. I think this is it.
So
Yes. This one explains it perfectly. This is exactly what's going to happen. Oh, didn't hit play.
So the order is signed, and I'll sign the final papers as soon as I get into the Oval Office, and we will have a national emergency, and we will then be sued, and they will sue us in the Ninth Circuit, even though it shouldn't be there, and we will possibly get a bad ruling, and then we'll get another bad ruling, and then we'll end up in the Supreme Court, and hopefully we'll get a fair shake, and we'll win in the Supreme Court, just like the band. They sued us in the Ninth Circuit, and we lost, and then we lost in the appellate division, and then we went to the Supreme Court, and we won.
He keeps talking like this, where at the end of everything, he says he does this
There is
thing
a
where
little
he...
raise in
Oh.
pitch.
We gotta talk like that for the rest of the podcast.
Listen, guys, this is exactly what's going to happen, though, and then it's going to happen again in the future when they want another state of emergency.
Yeah.
But no, man, it's just so sad that we're at this point, man. And it's going to happen. And it's going to happen again. Because so many people in the country, whoever's a big Trump supporter, does not give a shit about what the Constitution says at this point.
Yeah.
So get in the wall. When
Yeah.
Obama did his, whoever was a big Obama supporter did not give a shit what was in the Constitution. Did you care? Well, you were young. I was young too. I didn't know what was
but
going on either.
He declared one over H1N1, which is
Ah,
great.
see, this is what I'm talking about, Parker.
But no,
This
I'm
is
not saying it was right. I'm not saying it was right. I'm just saying it wasn't racist. That's all.
Ah,
I'm just saying, like,
A border wall is not racist.
there
Hold
are
up.
not
We
a
gotta
racist
border
understand
arguments
wall
for a
is not
border wall.
racist.
Building a wall
Yeah.
around your country is not racist.
It's hugely racist. It's a fucking monument to white supremacy. That's what the
Oh
whole
my
thing
God!
is
You
about.
Okay.
can't be
The wall
racist.
is
There's-
about.
You can't be.
Let's
What?
That's
So
literally
Canada's
what the-
racist too
let's-
because they don't let anybody into their country.
Who?
Canada's racist now too because they control their immigration strictly.
They don't have. Well, first of all, they're one of the most open countries to
They're not. They're one of the
immigrants,
hardest countries in the world to get citizenship. That's complete bullshit.
to asylum seekers and to
No,
to
they-
refugees. They are one of the most open and welcome countries in the world.
Well, it's real easy to get to Canada. For if you're seeking asylum.
Well, there's not a
because
fucking
they have that
wall
big border
there.
with that country that produces tons of asylum seekers, America.
They don't.
Yeah, that's
they
the
don't
only
need a
country
wall
they
there.
have a
Everyone-
border with.
Yeah, they don't need a wall there because everyone comes through America first. They get asylum here in America or
That's
further down.
horseshit that
in
it's
Mexico.
racist to have a wall.
It's racist to
Why
have
is
a
it
wall
racist?
in
All right,
this
Tyler,
context.
I'm
I don't know
open.
if it-
it's
Go
just-
through the
hold
logic
on.
of why it's racist. With
To
that.
have a
Let's-
wall.
let's-
Tell me how
But again,
having
that
a wall with the
oversimplifies it.
country makes you hate a race. And which race is it too?
Which race is it?
Yeah,
Brown people. It is brown people.
brown people aren't a race, Dumbo.
Well, brown people are. Brown people are when I say brown people, it's an amalgam of races.
Okay, well, this is what we're gonna do. We're
Well,
gonna.
not-
Whoa,
non-white
so that's,
people.
right, that's even harder to prove that it's not just racist against one race, it's racist against
Just
multiple
skin color in
races.
general.
It's not okay. So let's again. This is the my facts don't care about your feelings argument because you're going to ask me for statistics on like.
No, we're not
what-
gonna ask about.
No, I'm
statistics.
gonna ask you for any. I want the logic of how it is racist.
Of how it is racist.
Yes.
Because it is
Connect the two dots. Get me from wall inside your country to racist against multiple different races.
Okay, well, let's look at what a wall will do. Nothing. Most studies will conclude that a border wall along the southern border, what Trump is proposing, will not be helpful. It's not a worthwhile investment. If you want to control immigration, which I'm all for secure immigration. I'm all for immigration control and for making sure that there's a process. I don't think everyone should just be able to come in. But there's no proof that an actual physical border wall will do anything. So why build it? Why not listen to the people who are saying this? People who are nonpartisan and people who are
Well, I mean, you
genuinely
have
interested.
reports on both sides saying the complete opposite thing. So, I mean, how do we know what exactly is true when it comes to that? Well, you have reports that talk about how in that area that you have a border wall, it cuts down drastically. But then I think there's the argument of like the over.
Yeah, it happened in San Diego where they built a border wall and illegal immigration got cut down.
Are you talking about of like people coming in through visas and shit like that, or like through airplanes? Like you're saying that?
I'm talking about people just crossing the border.
Oh, it's definitely going to cut down on that.
Well, that's not the issue. It's not illegal immigration. Most of the people who are here illegally are just overstaying visas.
I think it's like 42%.
It's a lot. It's a big lot.
Yeah, but then there's like a whole 58 other percent.
But there are people
the
that
other
do
58%,
illegally cross the border.
And I'm not
and
saying
the other
all
issue
coming
is that's
from the
where a
southern
lot of
border?
human trafficking
No,
goes through.
58% do not come from the border, that area. But I mean, it's a large. I don't know the exact percentage through that. But the other 58% come through somewhere illegally other than visa.
This is one of the things I hate is anytime you like talk about immigration, like you get called a racist.
No, but
by
that's
people on the left.
I think
you can build a wall in your country to wall off a different country. That's not racist at all.
It is when you have no reason to wall off that country.
What do you mean?
Than that. Because
they believe it's going to curb immigration.
It's not. It definitely.
You think that? That's not what they think, though.
It's statistically, it won't happen. There's no reason, and also it's completely impractical. The landscape of the southern border, which is covered in mountains and lakes and all kinds of shit, it's entirely impractical. And then you have to build it.
So how does it being impractical make it racist?
Because that's the only reason you would do something so impractical. And also because that's the dude, and this is a dude who wants a monument built to himself. This is the dude who said he would like to see his face on Mount Rushmore.
I believe that. I think it's more that than he's racist.
Well, no, I think it's a monument to Trump, and Trump's a racist. Trump's a racist who hates Mexicans, he hates brown people, he hates Muslims, and he's made that 100% clear.
Can you think of any possible way to want to limit the amount of immigrants into the country that would not be racist?
Limit illegal immigration?
Even legal immigration.
To limit legal immigration?
Mm-hmm.
Why would we limit legal immigration?
Due to the fact that I looked at some study, I believe it was 55% of all legal immigrants come here and go on some sort of welfare program or benefits. And that adds to the bill on top of that that's ever expanding because we bring in like what, 1 million a year of just legal immigrants. And then the illegal, I don't really have. See, I believe also, okay, so I think what people's problem is with the illegal immigrants is they don't give a shit about people in general. It's just more of a power game because one party knows that illegal immigrants are going to come in here, they're going to chill for a while, and then eventually someone's going to push for an amnesty bill, which happens like every once a decade it seems like. And then those people get citizenized and they vote for, obviously, the party that pushed for, which would be the Democrats. And so the Republicans, so I don't really think the whole border wall or anything really has to do with the drugs they talk about or any of that shit. Because if you want to deal with that, you would just legalize the drugs and stop the drug war. So it's all just a little fucking power game that's going on right now, where the Republicans know, we got to put this wall, limit the amount of legal immigrants, because we know the Democrats in the future are going to try to do an amnesty bill to get a lot more voters into the country, and that the Republicans are going to be like, okay, so if we keep them out and we can deport these other illegal immigrants slowly, we'll be able to get more power in the future. I don't think it has to do with any of the moral stuff about anything. I think it's literally just that. It's the fact that the Republicans know that immigrants come over here. Once they get citizenized, they vote for them, for the Democrats.
But why do they? Why do they vote for Democrats?
Because
they're going to give them more benefits.
Yeah, 55% go on benefits, so that more than half would vote for the people who want to give more benefits.
Yeah, but it's also
and because the Democrats are historically pro immigration and immigrants.
yeah.
And they want their family to come here.
Yeah. I think that's and Republicans are historically anti-immigrant. If you come over here and it's like you have two parties to choose from, basically. You could choose from others, but none of them matter. There's two parties that matter. This one likes you and this one literally wants to deport you. Which one are you going to pick?
Exactly.
Like what but to say that like,
I mean, that's not completely true. Like the Republicans have worked on legislation that like allows like genius visas and stuff that allow like certain immigrants to come in. They're completely against immigration.
So as long as you're a genius, you can come be American. Like if you can get a Nicaraguan PhD, then you can come you can come work in an American kitchen. You're up to par because you're a genius. What a crock of shit. Like that's so fucked. It's totally fucked. Because you don't need to be white and be a genius to get in here. It takes almost 10 years to become a legal U.S. citizen.
Oh,
if you're
yeah,
from
it's ridiculous.
It's a huge process.
Mhm.
Fix that process. That's my solution.
I'd agree with that.
Fix that process.
yeah,
Maintaining border security. You can maintain border security without a wall, and it's a lot less expensive, and it's a lot more proficient, and it relies on tactics that have to do with the real ways that problems are happening right now when it comes to drugs, fucking crime, all that shit. It comes to modern solutions for the modern problems.
Mm-hmm.
And a wall, just to build a wall, it's an archaic, ineffective solution. And more than anything, it's a monument to a man who historically has always been a racist.
Gotcha.
I definitely don't think a wall is an efficient use of resources.
I would agree
And
on
I'm
that.
definitely against building a wall, but I also don't think I also think that like America really does need to have a real discussion about immigration. Like America has a lot of people don't know this, has the most immigrants of any country, which I'm all for. But
That's what we are.
Well, here's my other thing, because people always go, "Oh, we're a nation of immigrants." Is we're the first nation to ever really do that. To be like, "Hey, come on in." But also, when we were originally doing that, we did not have a welfare state in which people who came here would go on, get citizenized, and then go on the welfare state. If you got here and couldn't make it here, you would go home. You would leave. You'd have to leave because you wouldn't be getting that stuff unless you relied on like some sort of private charity. So I think it was like 1/3 of the people would go back home. Now they all just stay here. They stay on the toll, and since we bring in 1 million a year, I don't know. I'm not sure if that's the cutoff. I think it's 1 million a year, but over half of them are going on welfare every single year. So we're just adding that bill every single year. It doesn't seem very sustainable for the long-term future, and that's a thing where you're talking about immigration status. That would be a conversation to have, like Barker was talking about.
Yeah, and I think a lot of what people...
There's also a difference, too, between bringing a ton of immigrants in during the Industrial Revolution when you need factory workers and bringing a ton of immigrants into a service-based United States economy, too. That's the other thing is, like, what are they all going to do when in 15 or 20 years when automation starts to really take over, what jobs are they going to do?
I don't know. We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. No, but like just hear me out.
That's like saying like what are we going to do about climate change? We'll figure it out.
There was a reason that a lot of immigrants left the country when like they would come to the United States, they'd stay for a while and then they'd leave. It's because they made money here. They made like good money. You could get a good job. When you come to America now, a lot of the same, like the welfare programs that you're talking about, a lot of our own native citizens use those programs for the same reason these immigrants are using them. And that's because you can't get a good fucking job that pays well and keeps up with inflation. You can't afford to do anything. And maybe it's better to live when you're flat broke living on welfare. Maybe that's better than your situation in whatever country that you came from, which was possibly run by a cartel. Where there were possibly people dying in the street. Yeah, exactly. And the U.S. government put that cartel in power. They chased you out of your own country, and they get mad at you when you get here.
Yeah, no. I would completely agree with the way America has gone in and fucked with, like even with the UK immigration situation they have there with Syria and all those things. The U.S. involvement in Syria and all the Middle East is the reason that that's going on too. The same thing has happened when we got involved with the cartels down in South America. But there is a economic reality of the cost of all that, because you're saying, oh, all of our citizens do it too. I personally believe that we need to cut back on the amount of citizens that we have here right now that are on that. With the immigration that we have coming on, with more than half of them each year that come in and go right on some benefits, that bill just keeps getting higher and higher and higher. And that's not a sustainable thing. I'm not looking for the right now. I'm looking for what's more sustainable for the country in the future to actually exist instead of collapsing like every other society that's done this sort of thing.
I think it'll just eventually collapse, man. It's
See,
just, it is what it is. Like, it's just, you can't.
Tyler, are you an accelerationist or whatever?
No,
Are
I'm
you
just
trying
saying.
to, like,
You
speed
I'm
up
just saying.
the collapse of Western civilization?
No, all empires fall. It's just.
They don't need to, though. They fall because of this stuff, because of like just constantly spending and spending and.
Hey, it's a big thing. It is true. It's a thing of history where when you have uncontrolled immigration, that normally signals like the fall of an empire. It happened to Rome. It happened to
Rome had a welfare
China.
State. Rome had a welfare state too. That's partially what took them down as well. Also,
I think that's a hard thing to argue. That I've never seen any academic paper that Rome's welfare state was what led to their downfall.
Oh, I could find multiple, but we can like I can't find them right now. But I can bring it up next week.
The welfare state, from what I've read, it was, or as you call it, but like was because wealth inequality was so high that all the peasants were starting to get pissed, so they had to like feed them so they didn't revolt.
This is the problem with history.
Well, that's
I have a completely different history.
Because this is like what you're talking about is basically two forms of democracy. It's Aristotelian democracy versus what you could call what would you call it?
I have no idea.
Well, no, our constitutional democracy.
A republic.
Well, no, not even that. Just
get him, Parker.
It's like
what?
We're in a republic,
like
not a democracy.
You couldn't go to like Madisonian democracy.
Gotcha.
James Madison.
Gotcha.
James Madison's definition of democracy. Aristotle believed in the welfare state, and he was the guy who basically put democracy on paper. Like, this is what democracy is, and democracy, in his view, was the superior way to run a society. It was the best possible way to run a society, and he said that was the main issue. Like, well, what happens when you have a class divide that makes really wealthy people really wealthy and really poor people really poor? How do you keep the poor from uprising and just stealing the money from the rich? He said the solution was a welfare state. You have programs in place that provide for people, and you make sure that people at least have their basic necessities so that they don't, feel as though they're getting, like, that they have to die at the expense of some guy getting richer.
Right.
Now, Madisonian democracy sort of changed that a little bit and sort of said, like, well, I don't know, like there's a bourgeoisie class kind of where we'll kind
Sounds
of
a lot like more Marx.
Well, basically the rich will intermingle with the government so that we can, so that there can be a certain, like, we'll always, as government officials and as a certain level of society, we'll always be above them, but we can always keep them in check.
Okay.
So that's the difference between not Madisonian. God damn it. Yeah, James Madison. Madisonian and Aristotelian democracy, at least from what little I know about it.
I'll have to look into more of the Madisonian one because I can almost guarantee he didn't go like, hey, we're going to start this thing so the rich and the government can fuck the poor.
Well, no, he just said, like, but we don't have to have a welfare state. We don't have to hand all our money.
I don't believe we do need one. I really do think if we did not have a welfare state, then private charities would actually deal with all of this shit that's going on.
Well,
I think we're going to start needing one once automation really kicks in. Because
just let everybody die?
Eventually all the wealth would just, like, concentrate at the top if they don't need workers anymore.
I mean, you would just need more skilled, like, it would be a more skilled workforce.
You don't need nearly
like,
as many people to run a factory when it's automated as you do when it's not.
You need people to deal with the robots and all that stuff. Literally,
but not
you would
many.
have to change your public school system to teach people from a young age how to do all this stuff. Because the bureaucracy behind the public school system is so huge, that shit doesn't ever happen.
But to say,
people should be coding right now in public school. Like,
I don't disagree with that. That's actually a good. You should should totally know way more about computers in school. But I don't think you should need skills to I don't think skills should be a prerequisite to survival. Like, just because you're an unskilled citizen, Like you're like, no, I don't have a college degree. I don't really know how to do anything special.
Mhm.
But like I'm willing to, like, if you give me something to do, I'll show up. Like, and I'm just a person. I'm just a regular person. I don't think that should be a death sentence, you know. And you get into the
Yeah, but there should be
neither do
some
we.
pressure for you to produce stuff for society
yeah.
too.
Sure, absolutely, but I don't think
Because
that
then you end up with 17 people that are all SoundCloud rappers. You know what I mean? Like, that's my job.
yeah, but
Hey, I'm doing my best, guys.
But if automation rules out so much of what we know as a work, like, you know,
Yeah.
what we understand as a workforce, that nobody has anything to do, I don't, like, other than just let those people die, I don't know what other option we have than a
You
welfare
don't let
state.
them die. I mean,
You do, though. That's the only thing. Like, you either let them die or you kick them out.
kick him out of the country? Is
Yeah,
that what you're saying?
yeah,
No
that's-
one's, no
Well,
one's,
no one's kicking him out of the
like,
country.
you
I'm
can't.
telling you, man,
But that's just it. Like, what other
the
solution?
amount
Like,
of
they have to
charity that goes
survive.
around in the society that we have nowadays. But okay, but
There's bureaucracy in charity, though.
let's-
Most of the
yeah,
biggest
charities are
charities
very
spend most of
inefficient
their
with
money on, most of the biggest and best charities spend the majority of their money on advertisement. That's how we know about them. The best charities are the ones you don't know about because they're giving 100% of their proceeds to charity.
The best charities in society do get more of their money to the people that they're trying to help than the actual government does through the entire bureaucracy that they have going on with all this stuff, the amount of people they have to pay.
government doesn't have to spend their money on advertising.
Yeah,
though.
and they still don't
So-
get as much money to the people. Which, like, once
I
again,
think
I'd have to
most
find
of taxes
articles
are
that I've
spent
said-
on
Yeah, what about
something.
yeah? They spend like we all give money to
What?
the government.
Hold on, Ryan.
Like
What did you say?
that taxes, like the total like gross taxes in the United States are less than.
I'm talking to like who, like, with charities who want to help out the impoverished versus the government who wants to help out the impoverished. The money that the like the percentage of the money that comes
That
into
actually
the government
goes to the people.
that actually goes to the people who are impoverished in the welfare programs is less than the actual money that comes in from the charitable programs that goes out, because there's a greater
that goes
bureaucracy.
contrary to what I've read, where only about, for a lot of big charities, it's around 10 to 20% of every dollar you give them actually goes to helping people because of they have a CEO and they spend so much money on advertising.
You know how much money?
Interesting.
You know how much money from Goodwill goes to charity or goes to helping people?
How much?
0. They give people jobs. That's it. It's a
Oh, really?
yeah. They don't give any money to charity. Goodwill just takes a profit. But they give jobs to people who might not otherwise have jobs. So that's their angle. But as far as like giving money back to the community, Goodwill gives nothing.
You think
But they're considered a
immoral for that?
charity. Do I think they're immoral for that?
Yeah.
Yeah, because they tout themselves like a charity.
Right.
It's just like if it was just like this is Goodwill, this is a store, and we give people a chance. Where really like a lot of the big companies will give people, like Walmart.
Mhm.
Walmart will give a whole lot of people a chance. Like there's a lot of places you can get a job. It's not a selling point anymore. It's like, oh, we give jobs to drug addicts. It's like, yeah, what are you, a piece of shit? Like you need to, like, people need help and they need ways to get off these drugs and they need something to support themselves with. So if you give money give a job to someone who's a recovering drug addict, as long as they meet the qualifications, you're only doing the right thing. That doesn't make you a charity. It doesn't make you anybody special.
Gotcha. Okay.
Especially when you give 0% of your profits to charity and your CEO makes millions a year.
Let's get back to the immigration debate that we were having.
Yeah.
Because we went off a little far on that. What was the last thing we were saying on that? Because we got off from the fact of the wall being racist.
The wall's racist, I believe, because it's Trump's wall. I'm not saying a wall in and of itself on the border is racist, but based on the context in which it's being funded and which it's been, touted by Trump
Right.
and to his supporters and what they want out of the wall, it's a racist monument to a racist asshole.
I just think that's such a leap to say that. I'm not denying Trump's racist, but I think that the most obvious thing is that it's a wall about immigration more than about race. And I feel like that's a little conspiracy to like say that it's secretly a racist monument.
I don't think it's secret. That's how I see it. That's literally what I see.
I mean, they don't call it a racist monument.
What?
So
It's the border
It's-
wall. It's literally a giant wall along the border, and it was built by a president who didn't get congressional approval, used an emergency order when there was no emergency to get an $8 billion wall built.
Yeah, but that doesn't prove it's racist at all.
It does when the guy who's doing all of that is racist.
Go.
Pretty much, no.
Are you seriously saying that going around Congress is racist?
No.
That act?
No, I'm
That
saying...
declaring a national emergency is racist?
No, I'm saying the reason he declared a national emergency and the reasons he's doing what he's doing.
Well,
and
the
his
reasons
solutions to this problem that doesn't even really...
I don't believe it has anything to do with race. I believe it has everything to do with him wanting more political power in the future and wanting to win the 2020 election.
Yeah.
And it's a show for his supporters that wanted a wall because of immigration. That's most of the reason why he's doing it.
Most of his supporters...
It's not because he's going that'll show brown people.
Well, most of his supporters are misinformed about immigration anyway. They've been bred to hate people like that because they are racist. And they voted for him because he is racist. And he's doing this for them, and it is all very racist.
There are tons and tons of Latinx supporters of Trump who I don't think are racist against their own race.
There are not tons and tons. That's
I mean, there's a lot of low wage workers. I mean,
people.
Labor in the market works the same way with supply and demand as everything else. The more people you bring in here every year that are low skilled workers, the lower those wages are going to be because there's more workers for the amount of jobs that are available and those skilled in those areas. So I mean, there's a completely viable non-racist argument to keep people out from these other countries. And like I said, this is just me playing devil's advocate right now because I'm not for the border wall. I'm actually, if you don't have a welfare state, I'm for open borders. But I do think once you have the welfare state, you have to control the amount of people that come into your country each year. And you have to make sure they're not people that are going to go on the government toll and add to that bill, that slowly add to your debt to a point where you're just going to sit there and add more money to the monetary policy by printing it or adding it into just adding some zeros into shit, devaluing your currency over the centuries that your country exists.
No, I don't think any of that is racist.
Exactly. And there are a ton of people who support Trump and
have you ever heard Trump say anything like that, though?
I know, but if you're going to be left with two decisions, and this is the thing that sucks, because if you're left with two decisions, because you already talked about the fact that none of these other parties matter, right? You're left with Hillary Clinton or this. It was one extreme versus another extreme. If you're in the middle, you're going to pick one of them. Who are you going to pick? You're going to pick the closest one to the things that represents what you believe. And those people believe that the debt is going to be a terrible fucking thing in the future, and we can't be adding all these people to the government toll. So who's the closest guy to that versus Hillary Clinton and him? Him. So a lot of people voted for him because of that. It doesn't mean all the... Sure, there's some racists that voted for Trump. I guarantee there's a lot of racists in the country. But wanting that sort of policy does not instantly mean, I don't know, because you're over here arguing that Trump is racist, and it's racist because Trump's doing it. But not all his supporters are fucking racist, man. Like what you're...
I think I saw something online, and it made a lot of sense to me. It was talking about how there were people, and obviously, low blow, I'm going to Nazi Germany. But I know. Don't worry. I wanted to let you know beforehand.
Whole episode, Tyler. I've been waiting for it.
Yeah, I know.
I appreciate the just so you guys know.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't want to go into this analogy without warning you that I'm bringing
up for future shows. We should have a counter for the times Trump is compared to Nazi Germany.
Yeah, put a little check on this calendar.
Oh man, if we ever have Ian Salyers on this show with Tyler, oh my god,
you guys are done because he's so much smarter than me.
I wouldn't say
so
that.
So much more, but he's got all the articles and facts to back shit up.
Right. He does do a lot of research on it. I like the guy. I'm going to look forward to debating him on this.
No, I love you.
Keep going.
But shouts out to Ian Salyers. But your pal Salyers on Twitter and Instagram. But anyway, it had said there were people in Nazi Germany who voted or who were supportive of Hitler because of what he said about economics and what the promises he made for Germany as a country.
Mhm.
And it had nothing to do with Jews. It had nothing to do with concentration camps. It just had to do with the prosperity of Germany. And there's a name for those people, and it's Nazi. Because you don't get to say that we supported it because it seemed economically viable. It was like it was what it was, and you don't get to support a Nazi and say you're not a Nazi. So I think he has made more than enough. He's made it more than clear enough that he is absolutely unequivocally racist towards non-white people. I am 100% certain of that. And he has made that clear. One of the first things he did in his presidency was he called for a ban of all Muslims entering the country.
That's not true.
Yes, he did.
He called for a ban against of countries that were predominantly Muslim.
He said,
that's different.
I am calling for a ban on Muslims entering the country.
That's not what he did, though.
That's
not what the thing was.
What's
It was
his
7
action?
specific
But it matters
countries
when you say something
that
like
were
that.
predominantly Muslim.
Hey guys, we gotta not talk. Hey, we gotta not talk over one another.
No, I know.
Because we're not gonna get what you're saying. Something. Repeat what you just were talking about.
I'm just saying. I know what he did, and and it was still fucked up. But what he said was, "I'm calling for a ban on Muslims." Now, when you say that, it has weight. It has a whole lot of weight, and there are ways to be racist that aren't so forward. You can be a racist and not use racial slurs. You can be a racist and present it in a variety of ways, but he's presented it in about every way I can imagine, other than just getting on TV and screaming the N-word with his dick out.
But Parker's talking more about, and correct me if I'm wrong, Parker's talking about more of the actions that were taken. Correct?
Yeah, I mean, saying that was a ban on all Muslims entering the country is incorrect. It's just factually wrong.
Not to mention,
he didn't. I know that he didn't do that, but that's factually.
Then why do you keep saying?
Because he said it, dude. Look up the video. That is a direct fucking quote.
This is also a guy who misspeaks all the fucking time.
Yeah, but he's the president. Doesn't
no,
that
I'm not
for anything.
I'm not saying that I'm glad that he's the president.
I mean, it's just he fucked up.
All I'm gonna say is
Obama
Obama proposed a ban of those same countries. But
he didn't say.
And is he racist against Muslim people now too?
But he was nice. So what you're saying is, but he was nice about it. That's the same thing when he's attacking journalists. Trump isn't attacking journalists at the point. Really, not all that I can tell about. At the point that Obama was, but no one gives a fuck about the thing that Obama was doing when he was going after all these journalists and jailing them. But just because he was nice, he just came off as a nice guy.
I'm not.
And we won't get on a tangent. We won't get on a tangent.
Yeah, no,
on
Obama's
that.
a whole different thing. I'm not but I'm not 100% Obama either. Obama fucked up plenty. But yeah, you won't. No one will get me to believe that Trump's policies aren't at least all of them aren't at least partially driven by racism, and that this one is driven a lot by racism. It has a lot to do with everything you're talking about, very legitimate issues regarding immigration. I'm not saying that that's not involved at all.
Mm-hmm.
But this man is not. He's not a good person, and he's definitely a racist.
I don't think he's a good person either.
He's 100% a racist, and I don't like that it's the new norm to be like, oh well, he just messed up what he said. Oh, he fucks up all the time. Oh shit, are you frozen?
Oh, I think we just lost Parker.
Parker, no.
All right, we will reconvene as soon as we can get Parker back.